There you go.
All right, thank you. So, yeah, Wuzhang, I know there's been some recent activity here. We've got the folks at Iowa State trying to bring up OAI with SD-RAN. So why don't you tell us where things stand there, what issues you face?
First, for SD-RAN release 1.5, we decided to release the OpenAir interface code that we have used for the proto demo. And basically, when we were doing that, we used OpenAir interface 5G RAN stack and connected to our SD-RAN near real-time brick. So that will be released. This release 1.5, and that code was already uploaded to our OAI, ONOS Project OAI repository. So I pointed it to Iowa State University guys, and they said they will try to take a look for that. Basically, that also has the commit history so that they can easily understand what kind of code what kind of code was changed and added. So probably, well, they can migrate those code into their own code or OAI code. So that is about the OAI 5G RAN stack. And about the release 1.5, actually, we are writing up some user documentation now and release note 2. The goal is to release the existing SD-RAN code without bumping up the Go version because it takes too long time. So I decided not to deliver it, not to bump up the Golang version and modules, but we will do it later this year. But at this time, we will just deliver the code as is and then release it with the latest user documentation. So we are writing up the documentation now, and probably next week or the week after next week, I think we can announce. Hopefully, we can announce the SD-RAN release 1.5. So basically, that will include, like I mentioned, OAI 5G RAN stack, as well as, of course, we also deliver the existing OAI 4G RAN stack too, because the OAI 4G RAN stack includes the RAN slicing use case. So I think it would be still beneficial for everybody who are interested with the SD-RAN. So we will also deliver it as well. And also the existing accepts, previously 1.4, actually we have used our own service model that we designed before, but we mostly changed most of the accept application to use RC service model, which is the ORAN official service model. So that is contribution point for 1.5. And all other things, I think nothing changed. And then, yeah, I think that would be the scope of the 1.5.
So I want to make sure I captured the point about the E2 service model. Mm-hmm. It will be the SD-RAN version or the
ORAN version. Okay. Well, so here is the thing. So basically for the backward compatibility, still 1.5 will support the existing service model that we have designed, I mean ONFF designed, as well as we will add one more service model that is about ORAN RC service model. And most likely the access applications are using not ONF version, but ORAN version service model. But still for the backward compatibility, still E2T or E2SM still will have the old service models like MLB service model, MHO service models, those things will be still there.
Okay, so it's still backward compatible with the old
old service model, old ONF service models, yes.
Service models. Thank you. Okay, so I
do you support also the CCC service model here? No, not yet.
I think, well, Gabriel already added it. Please confirm it, right, Gabriel?
It is in PR so far. It hasn't been merged yet.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's basically in the run simulator, and in a few places there are a few PRs that are still open that are related to the CCC service model.
Oh, then let's do like this. So let's release 1.5 without CCC, and then right after the release, I will immediately merge everything.
Okay.
What do you think? Yeah.
Sure. Wujon, question regarding the OAI 5G.
Mhm.
Is your plan to use the E2 agent that comes from the OAI side, or
No.
what is your plan in there?
So the current OAI 5G RAN stack in ONA's project workspace has the E2 agent that what is that Kushal created. I mean the ONF created. So it's not from OAI, but
yeah, I know.
yeah, but later on, I think we start thinking how we can integrate this E2 agent with the OAI thing so that we can make sure both are working with the same OAI RAM stack. So that is the future work, but currently we will not use the OAI E2 agent for this.
So that this is to say it will include the, let me just call it the ONF E2 agent.
Correct, yes.
Yep.
And that then will therefore, that implies, just want to make sure I connect the dots with what we were talking about last week. Need to rebuild the OAI images.
Yeah.
Since that agent is statically included.
Yeah. Correct.
Are you planning to use a newer OAI 5G version to apply the changes that were done by Kushal from last year? Let's say use a new tag from the OAI side, or you are planning to keep? I think it was from 2022 or end of 2022 or beginning of 2023.
Right. Yeah, later on is the correct one.
Okay. Now I'm asking you this because when Bilal was visiting us, I noticed that now OAI in their configurations file, they also add a section for the E2 agent. So indicating where the E2 agent are and a few more things that are related to the E2 agent, just in case.
Yeah, right. So eventually, I think for the future, we would like to move to the OAI side, but of course, we may need some minor code change there. But the future plan is we will use OAI E2 agent, not ONF1, because well, that should be the official one. Otherwise, we always have to clone their code and then change it and then push it to there. So it is really hard. So eventually we will go with OAI. But in this release, we will use ONF E2 agent for OAI.
All right, thanks, Ushan. That's great news. I want to make sure I didn't misstate what you said. You were not this week, but maybe next week. That would be the first week of September.
Yeah, that's my plan at this time, but let's see. Yeah.
Okay. Did we get Daph on the call? There he is. Good. Want to take up the infrastructure topic?
Yeah, just very quickly, the new production site is up at jared.etherproject.org. Please take it a ping and see what's happening. Everybody who is on the invite participation list for this meeting should have an invitation. If you don't, send me an email or a DM on Slack, please. And we'll figure out why not. There are two exceptions. Gabriel and I are aware, one, we need to resolve that issue. And I'm sorry, I forget who the other one is right now, but we'll ping that. The only question, let me get to that at the end. Do have one question for the group. Do we need to restrict any particular level? As described here, there are 4 levels of access. One is anonymous users. These are people who either do not have or do not bother to log into their Atlassian account and want to look at the mail and want to look at our Jira issues. Currently, they can browse and read existing issues, but cannot modify anything and cannot create tickets themselves. I expect to fix the creation within the next couple of days. The cloud does some weird things with it, so it isn't quite working the way they document. Any logged in user, meaning they have an Atlassian account and we've approved their access to the chip, can basically change any field and invite people to join the site and become a user. when invited, there are some specific domains. Currently, any private domain that any of you have on your email ID, you know, is automatically approved. Anybody from your company basically gets automatically approved when they get invited. Try. Other people with private domains will get basically will end up making a request, and that'll show up in the admin accounts, and we can easily approve at that point. If it is a public domain, I'm still working with that one, as you can see up above. Aether Jira admin, that's essentially 3 or 4 of you, and we need to add whoever else wants to have it, can update group and user permissions. Basically change people's access to it. An admin can do anything. Question for the group, and this may be something we just let time decide, is do we see more restrictions? Do you want to be able to change edit fields but not allow them to transition a ticket? Do you want them to change who the assignee is, or is there, who do we want to change assignees? Anyway, as you look at it, figure out permissions, whether you want to restrict those to TSC or kind of restrict who can do what. Right now, it's a pretty open field as long as they're logged in. Do you want to discuss that now, or let people think and play with it for a bit?
Yeah, I would certainly think it's fine to take a wait and see attitude.
Okay.
Anyone uncomfortable with that? We should be so lucky as to have a lot of people pouring over our Jira.
That would be the
Okay.
goal. Okay, yeah. As I said, the known to do is let anonymous users create new tickets. Just to be sure, do we want people to create a ticket without having a known identity?
It would be good to know, so you can. How do you do that without them and them being anonymous at the same time?
Theoretically, it's supposed to be possible. There's certainly a way to do it in which they essentially, we create a specialized form where the information we need can be provided in the form, and then the form creates a ticket. Atlassian documentation claims that I can do it with a combination of permissions, but so far I have not identified that route, and I suspect it's a leftover from server and data center permission levels and not a cloud capacity. Right now there's an embedded, it looks like when the reporter is decided, it's embedded too deep for me to modify with any of the known permissions. So because the reporter isn't actually known at the time for an anonymous user, bad things happen at the authentication stage. But
so do I understand, to create an ID, you need to be approved by somebody?
I'm sorry, in order to create a new ticket,
No, a new user ID.
you need to have a lasting ID.
No, if I'm anonymous and I need to create a user ID, I'm wondering how, how to lower the barrier to that. So it's easy to create a user ID.
Right now, if they are invited by a user, they automatically get a ticket, which once they click yes, I want to come in, will either be automatically approved if they are a member of a approved domain, which basically counts for anybody who currently has a domain that's on the TST, other than the Gmail and I think there's one other public one, or an email gets sent to the Jira user admins, any of whom can approve it and create automatically.
So if,
I
just
need
to
to
make sure, I
double check
understand,
it.
if you are from a domain that's already got a member on and it's not Gmail,
Correct.
then if you request, is there a way to request access without an invitation?
I believe so. I haven't tested that. The documentation says yes. But for instance, anybody at Purdue.edu or Canonical or Intel automatically should automatically get an account if they go to our website and try. I need to play with the permissions and become a couple of new users just to double check that. But that's what the doc says, and it seems to work from the admin side.
Yeah, so I would say, let's do whatever you can to lower the barrier to creating a new account.
Mhm.
And then let's not worry about letting anonymous users, create tickets. So it's easy to create an account so you can create a ticket the first time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that would probably be between those two, that would be the priority.
That can be done.
Yeah, I get though the issue with public Gmail. It's frustrating to see so many Gmail addresses because you just got no clue who the person is. I would assume that if you had a Linux Foundation account, there might be a fast path. Is that fair?
Linux, Linux Foundation, Canonical, Intel, Purdue EDU.
No. I mean, if you had an LF account,
Oh,
not an LF email, but an LF account.
I'm not sure how that maps. I'll need to double check that. Certainly an email account with Linux Foundation comes in straight ahead. I'll need to check on the LF account transition. I had not considered that. That's a very good point. That should go in quickly.
Okay. Okay, Confluence. Sorry, anything else on Jira anyone else wants to raise? All right, Confluence.
Confluence, the test migration went through successfully. I would like to do the formal migration for the existing server between 12 noon tomorrow and 12 noon Thursday. Basically, the online current Confluence site will be read only during that process. And then I'll shift over to point to the new site when it's done. The previous site will be kept open for archive and reference site, and then hopefully we'll delete it entirely. My hope is that once it gets placed, people can look at for, take some time between now and next Tuesday and let me know next Tuesday whether we think it's good and happy. But it does require locking down the system and doing the migration at some point. It's a quick migration, but I need a window because the migration path has some contention issues that other projects have run into. Is it acceptable to make this current site read only?
Yeah, I think go ahead, bite the bullet. I think this is connected to last week too. I think it's Aether Dev. We decided that you'd post a note to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just kind of want to get your guys' approval first. Or at
Any
least
objections? Okay, and
and
Jenkins.
no progress on the further
Yeah.
Ether multi-server jobs or the SD-RAN DNS. SD-RAN DNS will be looked at today, as well as the
on the Jenkins 2 server jobs. Are there any particular? Is it just a matter of doing it, or are there particular challenges?
matter of doing it. Have it.
Okay, not you haven't any roadblocks.
Yeah, there are no known roadblocks right now except my attention span.
All right. Anything else on infrastructure before we go on? Okay, just a quick note on on-ramp. Bilal couldn't make it. He continues to make work on it and fix things, but we do know that there's a PR related to Kubernetes configuration that's pending. I think he has a concern, so I want to make sure we get that addressed before accepting it. And there is, I put it under on-ramp, but people bringing up the monitoring service are finding that it's not working uniformly. Basically, and I'm not on the
I'm looking at it, Larry.
yeah. So just FYI, if you're trying to use monitoring, it's not working right now. Or it's not completely working. So just AJ, this panel, the UPF throughput is working. I just don't have any activity on it right now. So it is
that's
related
working?
to the AMF and the SMF through the metric func.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that UPF one directly goes back to the backend most likely.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Anything else on SD? Nothing else on on-ramp I know of. SD core?
Well, actually, can I ask an well, I'm curious if there's anybody on this call. My understanding is that, LF has an intern working on integrating Aether with Nefio. Is anybody on this call connected to that activity? All right, so there's a bit of a disconnect, but somehow as the, Nefio is kind of a cloud framework, piece, and it's specifically SD core that they want to have supported on Nefio. So, but it sounds like it's just happening in isolation.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah, it'd be good to get anyone that's doing that on this call so we can hear about what they're doing.
Yeah, maybe if you can set up a presentation here, Timo, that would be great, right?
Yeah, I kind of pushed for that, but I'll push again. Okay, good.
Okay, SD core.
Okay, so last week, kind of, we mentioned about this Golang CI lint not catching everything. Then with Sean, we had like an offline kind of discussion, and I think he found out that the Golang CI lint doesn't include every check that the static check actually verifies, because some type of, a kind of like Golang CI team didn't get all the permissions, or didn't get the permissions from the static check to integrate, a static check into this Golang CI umbrella. So what we did is we added another GitHub action for a static check. So that's basically been added. It was added to all the primary network functions. So basically all the NFs have there. I haven't added yet that to the auxiliary repositories, but that's something that we can add that later. But since over the weekend there were a few PRs related to the dependable that got added, so I basically use those PRs to also include this static check and added the address any issues that the static check actually was showing in there. That's kind of based on what we discussed last week. I haven't touched yet regarding the login framework. That's something that needs to be done at some point. Or if somebody can kind of take ownership of that, that would be also actually great. What else? I start kind of running some, preparing some GitHub action for the end-to-end tests. So that makes things simpler for validation of the PRs. I had a discussion with you, Larry, about it, and I have a few more things to kind of add on that. Yeah, so that's kind of like so far. At some point, I need to start kind of like, DAF, any update just in case for the empty repositories for the OMEC CNI and the OMEC pod init?
I'm sorry, they skipped my attention. I'll take a look into it this week.
Okay. Kind of like one question regarding this. Should we keep them calling OMEC CNI, OMEC pod, or should we kind of rename them just as, I don't know, Aether CNI and Aether pod init, or something more up to date? Any thoughts, comments?
Yeah, I think you can change it, right? I think that's fine. When we move it to the other, you can use other names. Should be okay.
Yeah, migrating off the OMEC name when it's easy, when we're doing something makes sense, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I think that is so far. I need to continue the roadmap implementation to move to release 18. That's something I still have pending to keep working on.
Is anyone else jumping into the roadmap of the upgrade to 3GPP release?
Guglielmo from the Canonical team, he actually helped us, something I mentioned last week, he helped us actually moving from the PFC, the OMEC PFCP to start using the Go PFCP, the open source Go PFCP, which is currently release 16. So we are kind of aligned between the UPF and the SMF.
Oh, that's
so
good.
That is something that was already merged probably like 2 weeks. We merged it like 2 weeks ago.
But Gabriel, did we, what version, release 16 is what you said?
The Go PFCP at the moment uses release 16 as default.
The same thing for UPF?
In UPF, we are already using that, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, actually, sorry, let me double check the UPF. So okay. I think we are using the latest version from Go PFCP. I'm 99% certain that that's already happening, but let me double check.
Okay.
Yeah, at least Dependable haven't opened any PRs on that. So that's what I'm certain that we are already using the latest release, which is release 16.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
So Larry, I'm working on this metric function, fixing it. So there are a few configurations which are enabled by default, which shows up as error messages. So I'll definitely fix it. And this dashboard not showing up, right? That I'm debugging. So
yeah.
Apart from that,
just in case, do you have a chance to look into the profile 8 of GNOBSim, the issue with profile 8?
What is that profile 8?
You remember?
Like,
I
mean, do you remember what's profile 8 is about?
Give me 1 sec. Let me go check.
So while you find it out, so metric function work is in progress.
Yeah.
Then I guess last week or something, I fixed one of the issue which was reported by one of the community members. They were trying GNOBSim with the Open5GC, I guess, or Open5GS. Yeah, one of the
Open5GS.
Open5GS. So a few things were not accurate in the GNOBSim, which was causing the packet drop. So their UPF is more strict in terms of validating few things in the data packet. So we fixed that issue in the SIM. Now there is one more. There are some of the people who are trying. So I don't see those members have joined. So few members from India, like CDAC is one of the organizations that they are using GNOBSim to do the profiling of their 5G core. And they have raised few questions or queries in the GNOBSim repository. So I've been responding to them. Mostly around they are looking for like how we can make sure that when they're testing the redundancy of the core network, that means they are restarting the AMF or something like that, right? They want to know the behavior of the simulator. So these are the few things we did, like when Bilal was working on the cloud native, like Aether Plus. So we did. So I have provided those details, but looks like the documentation is not well captured. So people are asking the questions, right? So need to see if you can find home for those extra documentation points. Yeah.
So
I think...
speaking of documentation points, I'm imagining you would put that somewhere in the SD core docs. Is anyone Is that the right, is that the right place? to
So
be?
for Gnode vSIM, we migrated all the document to the Gnode vSIM repository itself. So
Okay, got it.
it's
Thanks.
part of Gnode vSIM repository, and so we'll update there.
Okay.
Yeah, people were more, users were more like looking into the documentation in the Gnode vSIM itself. And since they didn't find that information, so that's why they were start kind of raising questions.
Yeah,
yeah.
and there is one more query from one of the, again, college from India.
So I'll add a link to that in sort of the root documents, just to make sure people, if they want to follow.
Okay.
Find it. That might help a little bit.
Yeah, and one query, whatever I was saying, is about how Gnode vSIM can be used to do the scale testing of the core network. So yeah, I think this again, we have some data like how they can use it, and Bilal probably can also help there.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is query on the Gnode vSIM repository. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
So Gabriel, we have merged all the PRs from Canonical, or there is anything?
There is only one PR left. So overall, we have, I believe, let me see, we have 5 PRs open. Out of the 5 PRs, one we don't. If it's related to the UPF, we don't think that is applicable. I mean, it's not actually solving the issue. Actually, we believe there is no issue actually there. There is one feature that it's as a draft as well for the UPF, the canonical open, but it's still a draft. And then there is one from the EMF, but I'm waiting for the canonical team member who opened the PR to address one question that I asked. And besides that, we will be up to date with all the different PRs.
Okay. So one other thing, Larry, is that one of the member is working on designing the part where supporting multiple DNN within the same slice. So I had provided some pointers like how they can start working on it. He has done some, he has raised the PR, but it's still not complete. I mean, it needs more work in terms of code reading and understanding. So that's part of SMF.
Supporting multiple PLMNs in one slice?
No, multiple DNNs.
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 Yeah. So that's where like it requires release 16 support in the UPF, that PFCP.
Is that an important capability?
And I mean, for us, it may not be, but and that's the reason I'm pushing the community member to come up with the design and then contribute from their side. Right? But it's mostly like when a mobile wants to connect to 2 separate networks.
Got it.
Yeah, it could be one could be intranet and one could be internet, something like that, and it gives the isolation of the traffic. So 2 separate IP addresses are assigned to UE, and yeah, it's altogether different capability, which typically network will have it. Yeah.
Architecturally, there's a question as to whether you would want the slice to solve that, because you're really trying to distribute traffic across 2 different channels. Those could be slices. Why combine those in one slice? I mean, I see that as an option, but it seems like a kind of a strange option.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Maybe this could be like the legacy 3GPP features in the 4G, and they have continued it to even in the 5G, where the single UPF can support multiple IP domain. Yeah.
I suppose that's an argument. Anything else? All right, well, why don't we call it a day? Thanks, everyone. Do this again next week.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye all.